Hello and welcome to Inner Thoughts. Today's guest is Isabella, the Miss Canada Globe 2025. Hello.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming on. Would you like to tell us about your pageant journey leading up into this title?
Wow. Thanks so much. So my first pageant was, I think when I was about, let's see, 2008. It was either 2007 or 2008. So I was still a teenager, I think 17 or 18 years old. And to be honest with you, I didn't plan on going into a pageant. I just was walking on the street and someone came up and said, "Hey, would you like to try out for this pageant?" And I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. And then I looked through, I read a bit more about pageantry, and I thought, oh my goodness, I get to be around ladies. I get to be around sisters because I have three brothers and we would play video games all summer long and I was just done with that. Yeah, so that's how I got into pageants and I did travel. I actually got on a plane. My mom put me on a plane and I was able to go for that pageant. I didn't place, but I had such a great time. I got to meet wonderful ladies. Some of them were I'm still friends with them till today. And I also got to learn about makeup and see how ladies dress and how sisters behave. And it was my first introduction to like the, girl world at that time and fashion and makeup and all those things. So that was my initial introduction. And then I did another pageant a couple months later. And I actually won that pageant. But then I had to start school. That's university. So I couldn't really do much with that platform. I was still very new to it all. And I went into school. I did try for another pageant while in university. And at that time, I did not place, but then I found out that I actually really love the pageant industry. I love how everything comes together. I love how there's a platform for individuals to empower themselves or to express themselves. I love the sisterhood. I love the fact that women can come together, or at that time, we were teenagers, but I love how it brings people together for a common goal and we're able to take that break away from our regular schedules and just convene and enjoy time with one another. And so leading up to the Mrs. Canada pageant, I saw the ad online and I thought, oh my goodness, are they really saying we can go to Montreal for 5 nights in a hotel? That sounded like a dream come true to me because, sorry, a dream come true for me because I'm a homeschooling mom of three. I have two businesses that I take care of. I'm neck deep in laundry every other day, and it sounded like a vacation. My husband has gone on two vacations this year, and I thought, okay, this is my turn. And so I applied, and I was so excited and so fortunate that, the founder, Annie, that she accepted my application and she made me a delegate and a finalist. And as that happened, when we started the Zoom, the introduction to the pageant, the Mrs. Canada pageant, and we got to know more about what the pageant was about and the expectations and just everything about Mrs. I realized along the along the way that hey, I felt like I started to find myself again because I won't like, motherhood, postpartum, back to back working really stripped a lot of my identity. And so it felt like a return to who I really was. And there were things that were discussed during the Zooms and lessons that we learned and trainings that we had that really resonated with me, especially lessons about advocacy. So I've been working on my advocacy project for 8 years, and all of a sudden they're talking about advocacy again at the Mrs. Canada pageant, and I realized, oh my goodness, this is what I've been waiting for for these 8 years. This is finally the opportunity to to really go into this and spread the word about this. And so that is how, and so it wasn't just a vacation, the idea of a vacation away from home anymore. It was more of I'm following my destiny. This is for me. This is what I've been waiting for all this time, and it has come along. And this is the opportunity to put in my best and to make something of this chance that I've been given.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And it's great that you were able to find yourself because, yeah, when people have kids, they always usually put the kids first and themselves second. So it's good that you found that. And you kind of mentioned that you were excited to work even more on your advocacy. What is your advocacy?
So I started this initiative, Kingdom Minded Queens. I started it 8 years ago. And it actually came up as a result of my personal experience. So I've lived in Manitoba for since 2013. That's when I moved here. And as a newcomer, I left my family, I left everything I had. I didn't have any support when I moved here, and it was a huge culture shock for me. I also came for school, but I didn't get into school right away. That was a master's degree. So I did have to do a couple odd jobs. And at that time, I found out that, I wasn't really able to sustain myself financially. And there was a point in time that I found that I had to choose between buying menstrual hygiene products and a bus pass. I had to make that decision. It was actually a tie between three. It was warm socks for winter, menstrual products, or buy my bus pass for the week. And I honestly had to choose the bus pass because that was the priority at that time. And I just remember how I felt at that point. My self-esteem was at its lowest. I felt so alone. I I felt disappointed in myself and in my situation. It was just a very uncomfortable and it was a situation that I hope, never for people not to find themselves in. It was just a very negative time for me. So having that experience, I was able to connect with some people that helped me out of that, but it did take some time. But then moving forward, when I was a bit more empowered, I did notice that it wasn't just the me issue or my situation issue, but it was actually an issue that a lot of people have in which they have to make that decision of whether to maybe get rent or put food on their table or, purchase menstrual hygiene products. So 1 out of 6 Canadians actually struggle with getting access to menstrual products. And those numbers only go up with newcomers, immigrants, indigenous peoples, vulnerable peoples, people with disabilities, single mothers, students. It only gets worse and worse, you know, with the vulnerable populations. And so there's what I do at Kingdom Minded Queens is we put together these hygiene kits. It's a menstrual hygiene kit, so it has pads or tampons, it has toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, some tissue, sometimes hand sanitizer, a bar of soap, a comb for hair. It's just basically hygiene essentials that can be used for emergency purposes, for people that are unhoused. For example, we put together 52 of these in July because Manitoba has been going through a wildfire situation, and we have so many evacuees pouring into the shelters. And this hygiene items are the number one need that they have, aside food and shelter. And so we put together 52 of these, and I'm currently working on 100 more. And so that's basically what Kingdom Minded Queens, that's what my initiative, my organization does. We put these kits together and we get them across to individuals that need them the most because menstrual hygiene, it's not our fault that we get periods. It's biology. But then we need to understand that it's not a privilege to have, it shouldn't be a privilege or a luxury having these products. It's a human right. It's a way of having a dignified standard of living, having these products and having access to these products. And a lot of individuals don't. Just a pack of pad, for example, can be as expensive as $45 on an indigenous reservation. And that is a very high, you know, that is a lot for an individual to be able to afford every time of the month. And so, Kingdom Minded Queens, what we do is we provide emergency menstrual hygiene kit relief. But then one of the things that we're also working on currently is things like this, they're limited by funding. And the government of Canada, the government of Manitoba has done so well with so many initiatives that provide, you know, menstrual hygiene items. But then the limitation in all this is the funding. And at some point, that funding will run out. So, what I'm working with right now is hopefully seeing a change in policies, which will allow a bill to be introduced into legislation that will get us to the point, just like in Scotland and New Zealand, a point where every single person in Manitoba, every single person in Canada has access to free menstrual hygiene items. And, if they can do it in Scotland, we can do it here in Canada.
Period. Yes. Agreed. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. I mean, it's a true fact. A lot of people go through that same struggle, and it's amazing that you took your personal experience and made it into something that is truly impacting a lot of people. Like even just your 52 kids, that's 52 different people, and you're making 100 more. That's an incredible thing that you should be very proud of.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And, back to the pageant, how did you feel when you won that crown?
From the photos and the videos, there's a time when I turned to the Queen, Andre, who had, crowned me, and I was like, "Did I win?" And she's like, "Yes, you won." Because I still didn't believe it. I saw they were giving out a lot of crowns, and I was like, "This," and at some point I was like, "Oh, I didn't place." Oh. And then I finally heard my name, but I was still like, okay, maybe they're just practicing, or it didn't really sink in until when she said, "You won." And I was like, there are
That's
no words to
amazing.
describe how full of joy I was. I I honestly, like I said, I joined with the intention for having, a nice hotel bed that I wouldn't have to make and not do dishes for 5 days. But then somehow along the way, I realized that I was going to use this to fulfill my purpose. And so I had that mindset that I really wanted to win. I really wanted to use this to achieve my destiny. And there's a message that I have that I really want to share with the world. And yes, I'm so glad that I'm able to do that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you have already done a couple of things. What was the first thing that you did once you got your crown?
Oh, well, I did take a day or two in the hotel room just to sleep and eat a lot because I wasn't feeling so well when I won. So I just had to, try to nourish myself as best as I could. But I have honestly just been waiting on getting things together so I could make these 100 hygiene kits.
Amazing. And you just attended an event recently, right?
Yes. So it was actually on Saturday and Sunday. Before I went to Montreal, a, a friend of my husband's reached out. He reached out to say that, oh, they had a festival coming, and what he represents and what he's trying to communicate with that festival is that Africans in Canada exist and that we have a wonderful relationship and a wonderful culture and history together. And he's trying to celebrate that and showcase that to the whole world. And so that was what I went for on Saturday. And it was so wonderful to be a part of that because that was my first outing in which it was my first outing as Mrs. Canada Globe. And so I was able to be introduced to the public there and meet with so many wonderful individuals and business owners as well, and get to see what they're making with their hands and their minds. It was really an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I saw a reel, so if anyone's interested in looking at it, make sure you follow her account to follow her journey as well. Um, what do you wish to achieve during the reign? I know you did talk about your advocacy, but do you have other goals in mind?
Yes, I do actually. So, one of the things that I forgot to mention is that this title has not been won by someone of my background before. I'm the first Nigerian, West African, and African individual to hold this title. So it's not just a personal achievement for me, but it's also an honor that I carry for my community and for all immigrants that call Canada home. It's such an immense achievement, and I appreciate that so much. So I feel as though I have already achieved so much already, but then of course um my primary goal would be to champion my advocacy. And now that I'm a Globed, that is a Mrs. Canada Globe Queen, I also represent and speak for the Women in Need Foundation, which is headed by Dr. Tracy Campbell. And I'm going to be, also advocating and fundraising for them and for her initiative as well. And also, I hope absolutely that we can have a bill passed and brought into law that can not just have an effect in Manitoba or in Canada, but I hope it can start a global trend because we really need this.
It's so true. That's so true. And now that you have a national title, do you plan on traveling throughout Canada during your reign?
Yes, absolutely. That is something that I would love to do. Today I was able to meet to be at the I was privileged to be at the Minister of Health's office, to have discussions on how I can first of all meet with individuals in the community here and attend events here in Manitoba, and then ultimately hopefully expand that reach. I would love to see more of Canada and also see more of what we need done and how this platform, this um, incredible crown, I love that it gives the opportunity to open doors that would otherwise have been shut to me. And it's so amazing that I'm going to get the opportunity to meet so many different individuals. And if there were needs or needs that were brought to my attention, I would be able to speak on those needs or create awareness based off of those. So that's actually some of the things that I'm looking forward to. I not just only hope to travel around Canada, but I hope to be able to visit the country that I was born in West Africa, Nigeria. And I hope to also maybe visit the Middle East as well. And just, spread the word wide and far that, hey, Mrs. Canada Glow, this pageant does exist. It's empowering women like never before. And it's something that everyone needs to know exists.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have any coaching that led up to your national performance?
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to miss any names, so I'm just going to double check my sheet. So we did have lots of coaching. Even though it was done over Zoom. So it was from our previous queens, Mrs. Canada Queens. I appreciate that so much from Andrea, Giselle, and Trisha. We also had some other queens also come and give us coaching advice. I also had coaching from private coaches as well. And all those really helped with this transformative part of the journey, learning how to answer questions, building my confidence, learning how to do makeup as well. before this pageant, I was not putting on, I couldn't put on makeup to save my life, but I took some lessons in makeup application. I've been practicing, and I'm very proud to say I did this by myself. At 36 years old, I did this. So this is another thing that Mrs. Canada has kind of has opened the door for me. I'm just learning new things. And at a point in time when I thought I wouldn't, what else is there to really learn? But I'm learning these things and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. And did you do your own makeup for the night of the pageant, or did you have someone do it for you?
I did have someone do it for me. So I'm so grateful for the guidance and support of my entire team. I have a wonderful sponsor. I have several wonderful sponsors, but just for that makeup, I would like to mention Pure Anada, which is a female-owned company right here in Manitoba. They specialize in makeup, beauty, wellness, skincare, and they were able to have one of their makeup artists do my makeup, not just for the final night, but also for other events that we had during the 5 day period. And they did such a wonderful job, and their products are absolutely wonderful. They're toxin free, they're natural, they're organic, and they're all made right here in Manitoba by a woman-owned company. So I'm really, really proud of what they do, and I'm so excited and grateful that they sponsored me.
Yeah, that's amazing to even have them do it each night. Like, that's a great thing to have. Probably made life a lot easier.
Especially
Uh,
since I was still building up my makeup skills.
yeah, for sure. And you kind of mentioned they had sponsored you. Did you have other sponsors as well?
I did. So my two other sponsors were Drive True Auto, which is a family-owned business that my family owns, and also my private business, Eleanor Apartment. So Drive True Auto is a car dealership. They also specialize in automotive sales as well and servicing. And then Eleanor Apartments, it's a luxury rental apartments that's based overseas. And another one of my sponsors was Shine Dental. They're based here in Manitoba. And I also want to say a big thank you to Choga. She made the final dress for that night. And also Betty from BLS Hair. She was the one who took care of my hair. So I'm so grateful to all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it really does take a village to get everything just right.
On it, just like parenting.
Yes, exactly. While you have this moment to talk, is there anything else that you want to kind of mention or bring light to?
Well, yes. I would like to honestly say a big thank you to Annie, who is the founder and owner of Mrs. Canada, because none of this could have been possible with her. I was at a point in my life where I had just settled with work and, my family, and I didn't really, it was in my heart to do more, but I didn't know what that looked like. And I was, even though I had made about 300 of these and was distributing them, I just never thought it would be more than that, or I would get the opportunity to make this more than that. But then Annie, she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I appreciate that she was able to give me this opportunity to be a part of the Mrs. Canada pageant and to really discover what my true potential was, and that I was just so much more than what I thought I was, and I am so much more than the limiting voices that are inside of me, and that I when you do beat those voices, the sky is your limit.
Yeah, that's amazing. And have you already started planning or put thoughts into internationals, or are you kind of enjoying the moment and then gonna kind of focus on that later?
Think about internationals every single day. I think about it every day. I'm planning, I'm thinking. I'm also taking time to try to rest and to prioritize other things as well. But it is important to me, mostly because of my advocacy journey and what I want to achieve from that journey. Because winning Mrs. Canada Globe means that I can take my advocacy journey to the national level, but winning Mrs. Canada Globe, or sorry, but winning Mrs. Globe, that means I can take my advocacy journey to the international level. And I know that we need to get there for there to be real change in this world and for us women to have to enjoy the dignified standards of living that we really should have.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's gonna be such a long journey. Like, is yours about a year away, or when is the internationals?
It is about a year away, but then I feel like as though once we get into September, we're basically in next year. Time goes by so quickly.
Literally, like, I can't believe we're already in August.
Sorry for the reminder.
All good, but thank you so much for being a part of this and taking time out of your schedule. And I know we had to change the day a couple times, but it worked out.
You. I'm so excited, and I hope everything went well for you yesterday. I want to hear what happened.
Oh, yes, so we can talk a little bit after.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. This is my first ever podcast. So I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much for doing this for me and
of
for giving me this
course.
opportunity to share all about the advocacy journey. It's so important to me. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. Thank you for being a part, as I said. And good luck to everything in your future, to internationals, and then whatever you come up with after that.
Yes.
Well, I
Thank
hope,
you so much.
yeah, of course. And I hope everyone has a good day.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.